are one. When my boot comes down on your neck, we are one. That's right. Piano solo. Do you feel it? I feel it. It's got me by the feels. So bad, baby.
Somebody brought this up, and I want you to know that I am watching this. It is very similar to the Dennis Rader case, where for a long time I was like, well, I guess this guy was just a psycho, right? And then some weird piece of information comes along, and you're like, huh, maybe he actually is like the rest of them, right? Because all of these serial killers, all of them, have something weird going on. You know, something that isn't really explainable. Hearing voices, that kind of shit, right? So it turns out that Bryan Kohberger here has something called visual snow, which I have talked about a lot on this channel over the years. And he actually has hardcore tinnitus as well. Now, he says something else that is very interesting, so I don't think we're getting the full truth from Bryan Kohberger, but let's check it out.
This is how we see the world, with crystal clarity. But is this how the accused killer of the 4 University of Idaho students sees it? Through a blizzard of static. It's called visual snow, and it's a real medical syndrome.
It's a real medical syndrome recently. If you told people this in like 1938 or right up until recently, they would be like, we don't know what you're talking about. This is all recent stuff, so don't let them fool you when they say it's a real medical condition. It's a real condition that people started documenting very, very recently.
Visual snow is a perception where they see static in their vision. So it could be colored static or it could be black and white static. It's like TV static.
The rare neurological condition also causes a constant ringing in the ears, like this. Now 28, Bryan Kohberger posted about having the disorder when he was 17 years old.
So he's had this for a long, long time. So he's posting about it when he's 17. That's 11 years. A long time to have something like this going on.
It is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all of the demons in my head mocking me.
Okay, there's something else going on. And he's not telling them everything, or he is, and they aren't telling us everything, because they used to tell the public when people were hearing voices. Now they're covering that up so that people don't notice that all of these killers are hearing voices. So they start saying that he has mental health issues or she has mental health issues, right? Very, very strange for somebody to say if they don't have demons in their head mocking them, right? That's very weird because it's visual snow and noise. Very strange.
And we're also getting new insights about his state of mind from a rap song in which he called himself the devil.
You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble, and now I'm going regal.
So, you know, what they do is they create this fake paranormal shit that happens around these people, you know, and they choose certain people that may be egocentric, self-centered, whatever. They do these things around these people like this and convince them that they have powers or that they are in contact with the devil, right? And then start talking to them and then convince them to go out and do this insane shit. It's the exact same thing that the CIA was trying to create back in the 60s when they were talking about getting people to do things that were against their better judgment, like killing people. Generally, they use people's will to survive against them by telling them that other people are trying to kill them, right? In this case, it looks like they're tricking him into believing that he was in contact with some entity when he wasn't.
Times he wrote a chilling vision of himself. I have no emotion, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur. I can do whatever I want with little remorse. I might spiral out of control.
I'd like to read that myself from his actual posts in context with what was going on. Can't trust the media. But this is typical of these cases. All of these cases where you have these guys doing things like this. Because I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people are going to get upset about. There are certain groups of people out there that they are using against the population as bioweapons, basically, to do crime all the time. And then what they can do is use it as an excuse to have to crack down on us, take away firearms, blah, blah, blah. If you took groups of people out of the equation, crimes with guns and all that would go down significantly. Killings, everything, right? But then they get people like this and mess them up and put them in the mix. Him, James Holmes, all of these people. And then it evens everything out. It makes them look like everybody's criminals. It's a big trick that is being played on everybody so that they can tighten down on us harder. But I'm keeping track of this, but this is just like the Dennis Rader case in the sense that right when I thought that he was just a psycho, then information like this comes out, slowly. But they try to keep it at bay. So then they can say, well, no, we told you that that was happening. But not everybody knows that. People don't know that Dennis Rader had a fucking demon that he thought was with him, going everywhere. It's just bizarre, especially when serial killers didn't even exist. They didn't even have a name for them. They were called spree killers because they started popping up. And it was like the late 60s, early 70s, and then boom, we have this epidemic of serial killers running around everywhere. Now I want to show you something kind of funny. This woman shows up at this house, and she's really upset, and she does overreact, let me state that. But here is how the internet is gaslighting people and making people think that technologies don't exist or that these things don't exist. When, back when I was a kid and in my teens, we didn't have vinyl siding melting on homes. It just didn't happen. But now all of a sudden the sun is hot enough to melt vinyl, right? It's very bizarre. Well, watch what she says here. They try to paint her out as crazy.
That needs to be turned around. You almost set my house on fire.
Set your house on fire.
She's saying it wrong. She's saying fire, and she means something else when she says it. So she is saying it wrong. But check this out. They paint her out as totally crazy.
This woman was convinced her neighbor was trying to burn down her house. How? With a mirror. She has certainly earned the title of the craziest Karen, believing her house is being torched by a mirror.
You have the internet making these people look crazier than they might actually be, right?
Unfazed, the neighbor confronts Karen.
You are the biggest nut jobs I have ever encountered in my life.
You come over when the sun's shining and you feel my siding. It is hotter than hell.
You think that that mirror
Yes.
is going to set your house on fire?
Yes, I know it will.
Okay. This lady here thinks this mirror is going to set her house on fire over there.
Well, why does he have the mirror like that? That's kind of fucked up. Just turn it around, dude. Put it in your backyard. Why is it sitting on the sidewalk at an angle, right? That's kind of weird. The internet and this guy are trying to make her sound like a fucking lunatic,
Is she
right?
really going to call the police to report that her neighbor is burning her house down with a mirror? Judge for yourself.
Okay, pretty weird, right? Well, check this out.
One melted mess in Virginia Beach.
A viewer called 10 on your side for help after seeing this. Vinyl siding on a home in the Glenwood neighborhood looks warped, almost as if it melted. And the viewer worries her home is to blame. 10 on your side's Ann McNamara went digging to get to the bottom of this. Ann.
Nicole, it looks melted because it is melted. We'll get to that.
So what happened was here, the sun is reflecting off the window, it's magnifying basically, and it is melting the siding. And it's not just one, it happens over and over. So this woman that came to the door that they tried to make look crazy has a legitimate complaint, and they made her look nuts. And this newscast is showing that it's melting on thousands of homes.
Fortunately, some people all around the country are finding their siding melting and warping.
Randy and Angela Scarth can't believe what's happening to the side of their home.
And that's all because of reflected sunlight, just like that woman was complaining about.
As you look at the entire siding.
The siding is shriveling because of concentrated sunlight.
This window, the reflection coming off that window is basically melting and deteriorating our siding.
Randy and Angela are appealing their insurance company's denial of their $3,500 repair cost.
It was considered to be normal wear and tear.
But they say this is not normal, and they want it fixed before the low winter sun causes...
So the sun is beating the shit out of stuff. And when people bring it up, like in those videos, they're calling these people crazy. And it's actually happening. This is just another example of the internet trying to, gaslight people about reality. This has been going on for years. People are constantly trying to ask me questions about technology and how to, gain privacy or whatever from technology. Just tons and tons of questions all the time. A lot of it is, hogwash. Like I do not endorse or promote all that protective EMF shit, like putting a foil hat on and all that crazy shit, because you can block microwaves with a Faraday cage or whatever, but you can't live in a Faraday cage. And when you have one of these silly hats on, it's still hitting the rest of your body, A, and B, a lot of it is ELF, and ELF, putting one of those hats in front of ELF is like putting tissue paper in front of a semi-truck. It doesn't care, it doesn't matter, and it's going to go right through it, right? And that's what we're talking about in many of these cases, in most of these cases, is hardcore ELF. But let's get into like technology and privacy, because a lot of people ask those questions. They'll be asking me questions about privacy while they're driving in like a 2024 car that is radiating and transmitting data like a rolling mobile phone tower. And it's like, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. Stop buying them. Stop buying newer cars. Learn how to work on carbed OBD1 or, if necessary, OBD2 cars, like the old ones. Pick one brand and become an enthusiast. And this takes some time to learn. Put the time in. This is something that you need to do. You need to watch, you need to learn hands-on, and don't expect information to be spoon-fed to you like you're an invalid. And if you can't do this because you're embarrassed to be driving like an older car, then you just have bigger problems that are bigger than I can sort out for you. An older car is going to take care of a lot of your problems as far as privacy and shit, because that's going directly to a private corporation, just like your phone. Just like your phone. Ford, GM, all of these companies are in on the data game, just like these phone companies are now. So as far as phones go, people pretty much need a phone these days, even if you don't carry it around with you all the time. You can put it in a blackout bag and stick it in your glove box, or keep it in your house or whatever. But then people complain about how easy it is for their info to be traced, tracked, and whatever, even when they do that shit. And this is just like the car thing. You need to learn a little bit and get yourself out of the situation, and it's very, very easy. But before we get into that, let me state that there is no such thing as privacy anymore. Like if you walk into a woods, a desert, or take a boat out into a harbor, a lake, or a gulf, some computer or possible person knows about it. Bill Cooper was talking about this back in the 90s, and it's totally true. So we are not talking about total privacy here. We are talking about privacy from corporations and tech companies. That's it. Stop using Google phones and stop using stock operating systems. Rooting your phone leaves the bootloader open, so you have control of the phone, but at a really great cost. Get something like Graphene OS for your phone, a different operating system, non-Google, and geared towards privacy and security. There are lots of guys out there selling products and phones that I don't trust at all. At all. So be careful. These privacy-oriented operating systems are free, most of them that I know of, and at that point, you really have control of the phone. But I'm sure there are stupid people out there who will install it and then immediately download Google products just because they quote-unquote can't live without them, right? Which is totally insane. The good news is that on a lot of these operating systems, Google products and most creepy-ass apps won't work without Google services intentionally downloaded. So you need to download Google services to get even most of these creepy apps to even work. So stay minimalist with your phone. How many apps do you really need? Find a privacy-oriented recording app, a notes app, if your operating system doesn't come with one, and maybe like a VPN, whatever. Maybe a PDF viewer. You don't need a bunch of garbage on your phone. And most of those apps don't work. Like these people that have EMF readers on their phones, those are not EMF readers. Those are not radio frequency readers. And they literally hold them up in videos and they pretend like they're really monitoring what's around them. Those are like magnetic meters. You can get them close to a speaker and they go crazy. Any magnetic source. They're totally toys. They're not to be taken seriously. You don't need any of those apps. You don't need a bunch of garbage on your phone. My phone has like 5 apps installed on it. And they are all just for function, not fun. But yeah, you need to get out of the operating system game. You need to learn a little bit and get out of the operating system game and put a new operating system on your existing phone. That's really the only way to do it, because otherwise they are spying on you. I could go on and on and on. You don't need a washer or a dryer that is hooked up to the internet. You don't need a refrigerator that is hooked up to the Internet of Things. You don't need a toaster talking to the internet, telling them when you use it. You know, that's what smart meters were put in for in the first place. They give off a dirty electricity, and that can monitor what appliance is being used. So if you're there on a Friday night and you're using your blow dryer and your washing machine 2 hours before that, they can tell that you're getting ready for a night out. That's a spying method, just by what appliances you are using. They can already do that with just a smart meter, right? So you don't need a bunch of crap that talks to the internet. Your phone and your car don't need to be communicating with corporations every 2 seconds. You need to get out of the whole thing. And you can do that. It's not hard to do. You just have to deal with old products. With phones, you use an independent operating system. And with cars, you have to use older stuff. It's really, really easy to do. It just takes time and it takes effort. But again, this is just corporation privacy. If you're out somewhere doing something, even these crazy murderers, they can't tell everybody, but someone knows who is there and who did it. They already know. Now, lastly, I want to show you this. This is how operators out there, they get sloppy. Now, a lot of times they'll have one account that will come and attack, and then another account that comes and like praises certain people or says certain things. But sometimes they get really, really sloppy and they do it all in one hit. This person showed up and left like 50 comments in like a row on different videos. So I started reading them and it gets really, really bizarre. Now I want to show you that their first post claims that they have arguments with people, but it's typical. They're trying to claim that this is an actual person. So it says, I've had actual arguments with an actual person, sometimes multiple people. I heard their voices and they responded to what I was saying in my head. It's not just AI. Sometimes it's local law enforcement and the people that work with them. Well, how the fuck do you know? How do you know that? You don't know, right? This was their first post, okay? Then their next post says, you're gay. And then it says, you're saying a lot of shit, but you're not saying how. Actually, I've explained how many, many times, and I have videos on that. So now he's moved from, he's a voice here, to now he's attacking shit, right? This is the typical, like, schizo Fedposter. Then this person goes into full blast mode, and he's telling me a bunch of times, like, there are many, many posts by this person, total post bomb. And it says, you need to stop using drugs. So he's just dogging everything. He went from a voice hearer to dogging everything. This is how you can watch for these people. Then, in typical fashion, these people are always trying to say that this AI voice has an accent. They try to blame it on Russians, Germans, Chinese, and now it says, this sounds like somebody from India. This is about the SWAT rat experiments that I did. So they are falling in line with every single thing I have talked about. They're doing it. Then they go back to funny mode, and they're like, you just described every tweaker, man. So now they're back to totally dogging it. This is where it gets really creepy, and it makes me wonder about everything. So this person that was saying that they heard voices, then they're saying you need to get off drugs and all this shit. Suddenly, and I'm not showing the name, but suddenly they start promoting another person online somewhere that does content that is kind of similar to mine. Kind of. They say, look up, and then spam their name. Very weird. Why are they promoting this person? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why are they promoting that person? They didn't do it once. They did it many, many, many times. Here is one of the 20 where I covered up both names because I'm not giving them any credit, and I'm not showing the name that they spammed, the screen name. But they spammed this a bunch of times to basically look up this person and then started spamming just the name over and over. And I find that highly, highly suspect that they are attacking this channel. They're attacking it, but they're promoting someone else. Why are they promoting that person? They behaved like every operator out there. They start saying insane shit, totally insane shit. They try to blame it on cops, local people. Then they try to say that an AI voice has a human accent, which I've warned about. All these things that they do, every single one of them. And then they start promoting this other person's channel to go watch their stuff. Why are they doing that? And they didn't do it once. They did it many, many, many times. Just spammed the name. Spammed the name. Very, very fishy, man. I don't know what to think about that. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
Hello. We're trying to warp your perception of technology through Hollywood.
They're back. Look out for Charlie.